I can have whatever I want. That's what she said to me. Can you believe she was fucking tripping? Are you a magician?
Wow, guys, it's the Dip Podcast. We are back again. Better tell a friend. We got some fun stuff for you. Starting off, we're going to do some quick introductions, and then we're going to talk to you about our very wonderful guest who you may have recognized from a now hidden episode of the Dip Podcast. Let's go ahead and introduce the people to who he is. First up,
it's your boy Kevin, aka Atticus Hall, aka Lab the Rat, aka Back at It Again.
Sebby Seb, Cash Money Seb the Savage.
And, it's your boy Q coming through with that heat every single, well, not anymore, but every other, I don't know, month or something, I don't know.
Every episode.
Every episode, yeah. And then please introduce yourself to
What's up, everyone? My name is Ken, also known as Kenji or Mizu. Depends on when you met me in my life cycle. But yeah, I go by Ken, make a lot of stuff, and I'm excited to share with you guys what's been going on. So,
yeah, we're so grateful to have you back
for sure
on the show. The last time that we spoke with you, you weren't doing all this crazy hustling you're doing these days. You're out here moving, pushing, moving weight. What's going on?
So I think the last time I was talking about being retired because I was kind of like what I was calling my unemployment process. Me and Kevin kind of rode the retirement wave for a little bit, and it just meant like we had time to work on what we wanted to work on. So we went through our ups and downs working on different projects, but overall what we realized is that when we stopped working with other people and just focused on our own stuff, that's when things start to really take off. Yeah. And I think that was kind of like the process of finding where your time needs to be spent most. And I think it's just like any business owner or artist's struggle is like, how do I make this a job, or how do I make this an outlet where it can actually, support me and pay for rent and shit, because obviously we like doing stuff, but if it doesn't make money, it's like you can't, there's going to be an end point at some point. So you got to kind of pivot, figure it out, but still do it because you love it kind of thing. Yeah.
Big facts. When did we do that? The last time when we had you on for the pod, I feel like it was definitely.
Yeah. When was that transition for you? Like, when was that happening? When you were kind of in that retirement?
The retirement vibe. I don't know, Kevin. Do you remember? Was that April?
Like a year ago, April.
Yeah. So just over a year.
Post Discords, pre-pretzel.
Yeah.
What a time.
like my my timeline is just emojis.
Yeah.
Like feeling good, feeling bad, feeling good, feeling like truly a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah.
Probably early last year. I don't know. I'd have to go see, but
Dude.
A year ago, I would say, and some change.
Yeah. The growth that you've had has just been like so cool to witness and see, like just the work too that goes behind it. I've been keeping tabs and seeing the videos, and I'm just like, dude, props to this guy, because I know what, like editing, I think a lot of people like they fall off of it because it's just so time consuming. So it's like, it's really hard to maintain. You have to, find the best workflows for whatever you're trying to achieve. And it definitely seems like you have that on lock. But I'm just like, I see the hustle and the grind. I'm just like, man, this guy, you're doing it. And it's just really cool to see. And I know that it takes a lot to keep up with that pace. And so it's cool to witness. And how has it been for you?
Oh, yeah. So I guess
we'll talk
for our
about
listeners, for our listeners, just to get them some context to what you do. Because, we're telling, let the people know kind of what you do or what kind of projects you're working on.
For sure. Yeah. So I go by Ikendoit.studio. It's my design studio, which also houses my brands called House and Vision. They both have different personalities, but, it's still me making it. So it kind of has a similar crossover. And my goal is to like have this creative outlet of brands where it can serve as like my, I guess, voice for the time. Because one of the things that I experienced at my other job was that as time went on, the interest in the brand with everyone working on it kind of disappeared. And it was just me like continuously trying to keep it going. But when it becomes a job and it becomes this like focus of just, we need to keep things moving, the passion and the care kind of leaves. And it really shows in the designs and, just the effort that you can see, especially on the gram and like any social media like efforts that you make, you can tell when the brand starts falling off a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
So after experiencing that, I realized that if I just focus on making one brand, maybe in like 3 years, like I don't want to make graphics like this anymore, you know? And like, I don't want to feel like, oh, I wasted 3 years, versus if I stick to the studio as like my base, I can always start a new brand. And that could be my new thing. And now I have people who support me anyway, you know, they don't care what it is as long as like they still fuck with me kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that was kind of like my, I guess, safeguard of like conceptualizing the whole thing, because I was doing more client work at first, but I realized that with the client work, I was just doing the same thing I was doing in my other job. You know, I was still doing artist stuff, which is cool. But, you know, once you do a design project for somebody, they don't need to design the next week. So now you got to go find another client, right? And the client hunting is like, it's tough. Like, you know, your network is your net worth, right? That's what they say. It's like, which I am grateful, because I really don't reach out a lot. People come to me now, which is like, you know, super grateful, like, because that's the hardest part. But it's just that I don't want to be the salesperson like that. No one does. No artist enjoys the sales part, right? We just want to make stuff. But to make it a business, like, you have to kind of do both. And it just depends on you on how you're going to structure your business to let the work flow to you. Or like, I don't know, there's just this thing that I can't really explain. It just kind of happens. But when you see it, you know what's going on. And you kind of have to ride that wave to make sure that you don't miss out on opportunities. So yeah, I just started my brand, and it's just been popping off on, surprisingly, Etsy, which is pretty hilarious.
That's totally.
Yeah, because like the thing with Etsy is like, you know, at first, if I hear Etsy, I imagine like the craft mom, the, you know, the bridesmaids, like hats and shit, like
Whiskey chillers,
the super cheap whatevers, right? But then there are like a lot of craftspeople on there that like make leather goods with their hands, and like there's actually this at my other company, we worked with this band called Motorhead. It's like this metal band from the UK. I think that's correct. Don't quote me. But anyway, you know, they're a very old band, very respected, and people make like fan art. And this company makes like these steel drum like grills out of the logo, and they sell for like $2,000 or some shit. It looks really sick. But you know, it's like stuff like that is also on Etsy, so there is a market for like every price range. But I started it as kind of just like, let's just see what happens. Because like, I don't want to sell my nicer stuff on there, because I feel like, one, Etsy takes a lot of fees. So I'm like, I don't want them to take like fucking $10 a shirt. You know, that's crazy. That's like all the margin. And second of all, like, I kind of wanted to direct people to my site, be like, yeah, this is here, but you can also buy this on my site. You know, at least like have a little separation. Yeah. So that was kind of how it started. But for whatever reason, like the cheaper shirts, because I priced it pretty decently. Like there's like this acid wash dye shirt with like one color print, sell for $25, which is like, I think, pretty competitive. It's not the nicest garment, but I was still, you know, I wouldn't sell something that I would feel uncomfortable pricing it at. And 25 to me is kind of like that. If it gets fucked up, it gets fucked up. It's fine. You know, if it was like 40 to 50, it's like, it's gotta be nice. Like 25 is like, I don't know. It's a little more the throwaway region. Even though it does still last more than, you know, one wear. But so like those shirts have been doing really well on Etsy. And I just didn't want to go down the route of being like the festival guy merchandise, because like I love music festivals, I love the music, but like that's not what I want people to associate me with, because that's a hard hole to climb out of. Just same thing with the experience at my other brand, Electric Family, was like, it's like the rave merch, the festival guys, you know, and like, even though when you're in it, you think everyone knows about it, once you're out of that circle, like no one knows what the fuck you're talking about. So that's why, you know, like Kevin wears a lot of cool stuff. So I'm like, if this guy likes my stuff, that's awesome to see. Might be just a friend supporting, but you know, hopefully the designs are all right. You know, so it's kind of like, it's nice to see, like, you know, when I do a pop-up shop, there's always like, there's that All Saints shirt that has the Japanese All Saints in the back. And every time I see someone wearing that, they come to my booth and buy something. So that's good to me, because that's the demographic that I'm selling to. And I love that. Yeah, I love that. So it's like, I mean, it's just kind of funny, because my girlfriend vents with me, and she's like, he has an All Saints shirt on. I was like, he'll probably come here in the next 10 minutes.
Is All Saints like a Japanese brand?
No, All Saints is like an American brand,
but
like,
it's just like the association.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like they started diving into the more like streetwear side of things, because the only thing I knew All Saints for was like their leather jackets for women. It's like a pretty popular like $300 leather jacket. Yeah, so it's kind of like that higher end streetwear, but not street. I don't know how to explain it, but
that's cool. That's the market that's kind of hitting and resonating with your products and what you're creating. Have you always kind of been in product development or design, or has that and what kind of got you into design, I guess? Would you say your main thing?
Yeah, so, I mean, I've been designing since I was, in middle school. I had a Photoshop 7 cracked, That's how we all learn.
Same, yeah.
The classic. Now you can't because you got to pay the cloud.
Turn off the Wi-Fi.
Turn off the Wi-Fi. Dial up. So I've always liked this. I mean, I wasn't good at it, but I always had an interest because I love, you guys remember DeviantArt?
Yeah.
Yeah, those crazy, fantasy, energy swirl looking wallpapers.
Yeah.
That was the abstract ones. I thought those were the coolest things, and I could never figure out how to make those. And I was diving into goodtutorials.com. It was one of the classic sites to learn from because there's no YouTube back then.
Yeah.
And I mean, I made a really crappy mock-up of the shirt. I don't know, I think in high school it sucked, but we start somewhere.
Exactly.
And from that point on, I always liked making graphics. It wasn't really for anything, but I just liked making it. And I just thought it was not going to be a lucrative career. I didn't know I can, make a life out of it. So kind of took the back seat, but I always had interest in it. So I always occasionally get Photoshop and play with it for a couple months. Yeah, dabble, close it, uninstall it, come back 2 years later kind of thing. Yeah. So I would say that because of my job, how long ago? It was 2014. So I guess nine years ago, I started off as a fulfillment guy, the shipping man, from an engineering job. So it was a very, it was a critical moment in my life, mentally and also, financially. I mean, granted, I was 23, 24, so I didn't have any money anyway, so it didn't fucking matter, So it was I think I took the risk at the right time. And I mean, now I'm just super glad I did all this. Yeah. It's we're doing it,
Yeah.
But I think the job allowed me to do what I wanted to do because it was a small company.
Give you flexibility.
Yeah, very flexible. And because I was always willing to learn more and more because I was oh, I want to take photos.
Yeah.
And they just gave me the camera. And I was how do I use this? They're you got to figure it out. So I'll take product photos with the worst lighting, the big yellow light here, the natural light here. And then I'll take the picture and I'll be in Photoshop color correcting this crazy photo, and that's actually what made me better. Was these shitty photos that I was taking.
You gotta do more work.
Yeah, I gotta do more work, and my eyes start to see all the color differences and the artifacts and the JPEGs and all this stuff, and I was wow, I'm learning. He's learning so fast. And I just think naturally, because I'm the kind of guy who wants to get better and better, it's just progressed into this role where now I can design stuff and get it printed next day, or same day. So
awesome.
Yeah.
I like that you're so aware of not putting yourself in a box. It seems that's been a really big thing. Was the electric family one of the first experiences where you learned that as I move forward, I definitely don't want to be so boxed into a specific thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how do you feel just, I don't know, with the where you're going to take where you're at right now, the studio, and where it's going to go? Are you just open to all types of projects, or any particular direction? Or
I mean, I want to grow my brands for sure, but I'm not focusing on the brand to be my main revenue driver because I just know that grind is I mean, you guys run a brand, it's tough because you make the collection, you sell it, and then you got to work on the next collection, so the cash flow is always in and out. You don't sit on profit for very long. So it's really difficult, so I also do a lot of B2B. So I do wholesale to businesses or artists if they want to make jerseys, t-shirts. I just broker the deal because they know that I can make it as good as it can possibly be.
Yeah.
Based on what I have. So, it's they can go direct, but do you know how to make a tech pack?
Yeah.
Do you know how to talk to the vendor? It's these little things that you don't think about because you go to Printful, you just upload a photo, but you get it, you're wow, this sucks.
Yeah.
You can't figure it out. You're
and it was
Printful.
expensive.
And it was expensive.
Yeah.
Or what is the other site called? Inklab or something, or
The one with the octopus.
Custom Ink.
Yeah,
the one with the octopus.
Yeah.
The ads that I see on YouTube every day. That shit. It's it's cool for the corporate, group that needs 500 shirts or whatever. But if you're trying to make shirts that you're gonna sell for $40, it's you need a little bit more attention to the details. So,
Fact.
I was gonna say, how's it been experimenting? Because I like that you share so much information on your page and different techniques and things that you found have worked well. Or I just love that you share so much info. How's it been for you? Just the trial and error of these different
Yeah,
techniques and
it's good content, right? Because so when I was producing music, the hardest part was making the content to show you making music.
Yeah.
Because the reality of making music is not exciting to watch. It's a lot of clicking and dragging.
Yeah. Here's a Twitch stream of me making a hot single.
Exactly.
You're in the same 30 seconds for 5 hours.
Yeah, just fixing the EQ on the snare kind of stuff. But it's like that was very difficult to capture what I wanted to capture without it impacting the process. Versus like when I press a shirt, I just put up my tripod, I just let the camera rip for like 3 minutes, and then I'll do whatever I'm doing, then I'll move the camera, do another angle, so it doesn't like hinder my workflow. And I think that's the whole thing with like content and all this shit is like you can't have it being another thing you have to do. It has to work with what you're doing. Like a lot of cooking channels and stuff, right? They do the chop stuff. That was actually where I got like kind of my ideas of like the fast cutting and just the ASMR kind of stuff. Because my girlfriend watches all the cooking videos, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, why not do it on a shirt? Because like a shirt does take like 10 minutes to make. Like if I do the neck label, I have to like cut the whatever. There are more steps to it, but no one cares about the loading parts. They just want to see you get there. So were you gonna say something? Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying like because with those cooking videos, they're like like when you do cooking content, it takes 10 times as long to cook the food. Because it impedes you're trying to get all these different angles. You're chopping like 4 onions when you should be only doing a quarter. All these other things. But I'm great. It's great to know that insight that you learn from that to apply to making your shirts, because your shirts have ingredients, technically a cooking process, like but then you've kind of utilize that information and made it your own to like kind of showcase people, where it could just be kind of like press and then that's it, but it's dynamic.
Because I think it all happens in the first like second, right? Like because I don't like to dwell on TikTok because like I don't want it to think I like a certain thing and that's all I get. So I skip really fast, so I still get really random stuff, and I think that's what kind of keeps my like I guess ideas pumping, is because nothing is consistent. So I see a lot of different things and I'm like, oh, I like this, I don't like this, So it's all like attention grabbing because we're all trying to just consume as much as possible.
Could you talk a little bit closer to the mic?
Oh yeah, sorry.
You're good.
Tezonde.
Wait, my question.
Go work.
Chocolate rain. Chocolate.
I moved away from the mic to breathe.
I need to move closer to the mic. My bad. Sorry.
So what was the motivation behind, because it's a very deliberate decision to decide that you want to actually heat press and screen print everything yourself? What was like the driver to getting to that decision? Because you do a lot of things. Like, Ken makes a lot of stuff himself. Like everything is where he made like everything. Like he shirt.
I can do that shop.
Press, like does a lot of things. So what was because that's a very intentional decision. What
you want to know the truth? I just hate waiting on people to do things. I'm just like, I can't wait on you for 2 weeks to give me something. So I was like, I'm going to buy a fucking press. I'm going to figure out how to do this so I can get to what I need to get to faster. And that is literally like why I learned all this stuff, is because like, it's fine if things take time, because obviously like no one is, embedded to you to give their time. Like, oh, I need this now, like I don't expect someone to do that. But if someone says, okay, production is going to be done next week and it's not done, you're like, well, what's the deal? Like you said next Friday, but now you're going to give it to me on Wednesday, which shipping is going to be Thursday or Friday. So you just wasted a week of my time. That's like a good case. Like there was a pretty extreme case of like a 2-month delay on a shirt. And I'm just like,
that's
it's just, because like, especially when you're a smaller business, like your momentum is so important. You can't take breaks if there's no cash flow. So unless you have another job, which is totally, fine. Like that's why I had a job too, was like to fund my creative project without having to think about investing.
Surviving.
Because like honestly, like I stopped buying stocks. I stopped buying like everything pretty much to just go straight into business, pay for my ads, pay for my supplies, equipment, because that's like what I'm investing is like in myself. And I think it's a lot of mind shift changing, is like realizing that, you can invest in a stock and, 10% over whatever years, that's cool. Like obviously I still have that too as like my safer bets, but like if I'm trying to really make it and whatever that means, you know. To me, making it isn't like retiring on a beach or whatever. It's more like you get to do what you want every single day without worrying about the bills, right? Like that is very ideal.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been pushing towards. And that was actually why I quit my job, was because I had enough support on my sales to pay for like pretty much all my expenses.
That's
monthly.
dope.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, my net's zero, but I'm netting zero doing what I love.
Yeah.
So that's crazy as fuck to get to that point. So, you know, it's like everything from this point on is hopefully positive that I can save and whatever. But that's why I take those other projects like the B2Bs, because those are like just straight profit.
Yeah.
You know? So I think it's like mixing between what I actually love doing and like what I don't mind doing for the people that I like. And it kind of just works out together that way.
Very dope.
Yeah.
How is it like, are you able to like strengthen those relationships too? Like working with certain clients, like, do you feel like you would do collaborations, or is it just like, are there certain, you know, people where you're just like, that was like really cool, I'd like to continue working with them, or nice?
Yeah, I mean, I hope so, because I don't do stuff expecting something in return. Like, I used to give out a lot of my hats to people, like, if they like house music. And what would happen is, like, 1 out of maybe 5, so that's 20%, right? My math is terrible now. But, you know, yeah, like, probably 1 to 5, like, someone will reference me to someone saying, like, oh, this guy makes these hats, and then I'll get, like, a wholesale order from it.
Nice.
So I don't know, I just kind of do, like, this good faith thing, you know, it's just, like, I like you, and you're cool. And, you know, people appreciate that, too. And then eventually they might even buy something that's way more than what I gave them, you know? But I don't expect these turnarounds. It's more just like, here, this is for you. You know, you do whatever you want with it. And similar to like the collaborations and the wholesale work is like, yes, I would love for it to turn into more, but I don't want to bank on that, thinking that's going to be the next thing coming in. I always want to pretend like I have nothing so that I stay like aware, you know, because I don't know, it's still something that I'm trying to learn to get better at, is feeling okay with the uncertainty for like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Because like a couple weeks is not a lot of time, but when you're living in like this pure like self-sufficient life, those days are so much longer, you know, because you're not dreaming while you're working to do what you want at nighttime, because you're doing it all day long. So like, let's say like, you know, if I have a really off day and I have like 2 sales for like $80, right? I run $30 a day on ads. So after cost of goods, it's like I probably made like $10, you know? So like those days used to freak me out more, but now because I have those paddings, it's like I can kind of ignore it, and mentally it helps me to just look past that and be like, okay, you know, tomorrow's a new day. It's gonna be fine. Like don't just trip you out. Like enjoy the trip. So that being said, like, I would love to collab with some of these artists that I do the wholesale for, but I also want to make sure that it makes sense with their brand and my brand, because that is very important for a lot of people. And I think like that's kind of how you start setting yourself apart. You know?
Do you do your own ads too? Like you manage your ads?
Yeah.
How was getting into that? Was it
the ad life
game? Yeah.
Well, luckily I have some amazing friends who have high marketing jobs that have experience, and they like kind of help me get set up.
Nice.
But from that point on, it's like it was kind of up to me to optimize it and figure things out. So yeah, because that's a whole different ball game too. And it's different, you know, when you work for a company and someone's like, the ad budget is $500, you're like, all right, just plug it in, you're good. But when it's $500 of your own money, you're like, why is this not doing anything? You know, turn it off, you know.
Like the levels, like, oh, maybe I should push it over here. No, just do it over here.
Yeah, I think in general, it's like when it's your own money, like the seriousness just changes in your head.
In the game.
Loss hurts more.
The loss hurts a lot more. So yeah, I do it myself, but when things get kind of like, when I see the ROAS kind of dropping, I hit up my friend. I'm like, yo, can you take a look at this real quick? And I send him shirts, you know. So
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Damn, talking about having a network and how much that really helps. Like,
definitely.
So many ways.
Because you just said, what is it? Network is net worth, right?
Yeah.
Right. So like, just, so many times, like people, you know, you never know where like someone might help out or introduce you to another person. Like, oh, you got to talk to this guy, stuff like that. But that's great that they, you know, that you're such a close friend that they're willing to help you out, and kind of like they believe in you, and they know that like their time isn't like wasted if they like, you know, invest a little bit to like get you up to speed, because not everyone's like the best at everything, you know, because you're going from making clothes and making content and then like running your ads, running your business.
Damn, that's a lot. Shit.
And then I don't know how long have you been doing this other part, but it's like, what's the new part of licensing and consulting?
Oh yeah, I mean that's just like another thing that. So a lot of these like link in bio apps, they have like some of them are just straight up like link tree kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Some of them I use this one called Koji.app because it has like modules built into it. So there's like an affiliate link section. There's like a download to pay for a file section. Like you can kind of have like a little shop within it, which I thought was pretty cool. They take 5%, which is kind of a lot, but it's like the fact that I don't have to do any coding and it's already available.
Yeah.
You got to kind of pay the price for that convenience. And I'm not like raking in, hella money. It's like a couple $100 maybe, but the consulting thing is cool because I've always wanted to consult just to give advice, especially to like newer people, I think, because I think someone who wants to learn this like craft, it's very intimidating because I always like to relate it to music production because music is kind of where it all started for me. Like, you learn how to play or how to, I guess, you can play an instrument, you can learn how to produce, they're kind of unrelated, but eventually you can kind of fuse it together. But once you have the music ready, now you got to get it like mastered and mixed down and all this shit. And then after that, now you need a cover art. Okay. And now people are like, now you need a video.
Yeah.
So now you got to make that video. And then now you got to figure out how to distribute it. So you got to go on DistroKid and all these like, logistical things and get an email list. And you're just like, holy shit, I just wanted to make music. What happened?
Times change.
The business.
The business part. Yeah. And like, I just want people to understand from the start that like, it's a lot to take in, but you just got to do the first part purely because you love to do it. And then the business things will start to kind of fall into place as you get to that point where you're like, okay, this is actually a feasible thing that I want to turn into a business. Because the issue is like, when your passion becomes a job, the enjoyment starts going down significantly, and that's why a lot of people like, even me, I produced for like 7 years and my interest just started dropping. Like I loved making music. Like every day I was on Ableton, I'll make at least, something every single day, but slowly and surely it's like, now I'm on Blender more, After Effects more, because it's kind of taking away that pain of like, not being noticed for so long. And I mean, it helped me because it got my skills up in the other crafts, but the music part started going down. So I just think like being realistic with these people, be like, you don't have to make money off of this. You can just do it because you love it. And that's the example I'm trying to put forward. That's why I don't talk about a lot of money stuff on my channel, because I actually just did an Etsy breakdown for the first time, just saying like, you sell $30 shirt, $6 cogs, you get $16 in profit kind of thing. So my first kind of showing a little bit of dollar signs. Yeah, because like I also think it is important to show a little bit that I actually do sell my stuff too. I'm not just talking about shit.
I think when you're doing the Etsy, it's more of like an education of like, hey, like it would benefit you if you made your own website rather than selling on Etsy. Like you're extrapolating like, there's like a $2 margin and over like 100 sales, it's like $2,000.
Yeah.
And then you were saying like that's something that you could put to something else. If you just take a little bit of time and kind of make your own website, like these margins matter, and then over the lifetime of a product or whatnot, like those are extra shirts, those are extra like, screen printing, just anything's possible with just a little bit of extra money. But I think it's great that you're like looking out for the other like people who are just coming up about like where the margins are.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to take in, because people are like, this materials cost $4. Why is your shirt so expensive? But it's like, well, have you tried to buy just one blank before?
Yeah.
It's not $4. I'll tell you that. It's like fucking $20 for the shipping.
Right?
And you're gonna make one sample. It's like, that's like $150 if it's screen printed. So people don't realize it, and it's fine. But I'm just trying to be like the voice of the people, but also kind of keep it realistic, obviously, but also give more hope that like, I'm just a normal dude that likes stuff, and I just did it and just never gave up,
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can do it too.
You can do it. I can do it.
Yeah.
Dot Studio.
There you go. That's good. It's interesting. I remember one time where your mentor, Wally, was talking about just like, it's just fucking hard. It's just, things just, it takes hard work. And the more you get into the grind, the more like things are achievable and possible. It's just, you have to be willing to put in the work and you have to like constantly learn. And the industries, whatever it is, are always changing, especially now I feel like with like AI and all this stuff. So it's like, it's it could seem overwhelming, but yeah, like if you love to do it and the passion is there, then just keep reminding yourself that and just like take it a day at a time and continue learning. Because I think like even with us and our brand, we could have quit and we would have never seen some of the things we were able to have seen. And we've learned so much. And, you know, we just had a shoot yesterday and it was like really organized, like the most organized it's been. And it's like, we have like printouts and all this stuff for the models. And it's just, I don't know if we've ever, you know, would have, it's just cool being able to like allow yourself to get to those points, to have those experiences. And like, you know, you just have to like stick with it and keep learning. I think the learning thing is like a huge thing. It's like, you can't just, I don't think you can just like, well, maybe you can, but like just create and like put stuff out there. I think you have to always like, improve in whatever craft or industry it is. And
the more you learn, the more you earn.
Exactly.
That's also what
it feels.
My old dude had said. He had like 5 or 6 failed businesses, and he was on his like 6th business when he realized it's just that fucking hard. He was like, it's just that fucking hard. You got to power through.
For sure. Because like, I mean, I don't think in any capacity I've like made it, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm still very much like pushing and putting in hours, like if not more than ever, you know? But it's a little bit more focused now because I can kind of see where it's all going versus when we're just kind of shooting in the beginning. It's like
into the void,
the social media void, you know, you kind of don't know what the purpose is. So
anyone out there?
Hello?
Does anyone like, who's liking these? Get away, sex bots.
Yeah, too many sex bots.
Yeah. They're my OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And also, the challenge will never come down to you. You got to go up to meet the challenge. Yeah. Follow up. Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say, like, you know, you guys, like the 2 shirts you have on right now, you know, that's a testament of your like willingness to never give up on this project. And you would have never thought you will make that like 6 years ago, you know? So that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It's interesting too, because I think the times have just changed. I remember being like in my early 20s, like looking at like, how do we get this like custom products made? And the minimum orders, the MOQs are just like, everything was just so expensive. But I feel like now there's more platforms available. There's way more like companies that are trying to, like, they see the need, or they want the business and they're making it happen. There's just so many more options now to find manufacturers at like more affordable prices or companies. And I just think like I never would have like found this manufacturer. Like I never would have, you know, I just think the timing too. Like timing is like a weird little sprinkle of the universe that like kind of matters, I think.
Access to information now is like, there's a lot more, because back in the day it was just t-shirtforums.com is like where I learned about like a bunch of shit, and that was like it. Like Johnny Cupcakes, a couple of brands would hop in there and post in there, but it's pretty much was like how I learned to set up the business and like how to do everything. T-shirtforums.com, shout out to them.
Are they still around?
Yeah, you can probably go. It's still active.
The forums.
Yeah, the forums. But that was like the only resource. But now there's like just tons of resources. Yeah. And you're one of them now.
Oh, sweet.
You provide a lot of valuable information.
Exactly.
Like go follow Ken. He's putting out free game. Where can people follow you at?
Ikendoit Studio on all platforms.
There we go.
Yeah, get me on that YouTube. I'm trying to get to at least 1,000 before I start making the long-term videos, because it's like I gotta make sure that, you know, I don't get 5 views after putting in 2 weeks into a video.
YouTube Shorts. Start putting your thing.
I actually am on the Shorts. Yeah.
How does that feel like compared to Instagram Reels? Is it?
You know, I feel back to where it all started, where no one watches it, kind of thing. But I do think it's a long play game kind of thing, because there'll be the occasional like 2,000 views, and then like 26, and then like 1.6. You know, it's like it's all fucking random.
Yeah.
Because you're saying that when we went to the licensing expo, how like all of a sudden like one hit, and then everyone started looking at your previous videos, and then the numbers started increasing.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's like it just takes kind of like the spark to like ignite the rest of your stockpile.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
Let me go back to this one. Let me like, what else does
That
he
is
have?
very interesting,
you know?
actually. Yeah, it's like finding a new artist, and then you're just like, who is this artist? And then you start like looking all into where does it come from?
Like, you know how like
story.
you go down other people's like the content wormholes?
Yeah.
You are a wormhole. You're creating your own. You're like, oh, well, I have all of this.
Yeah.
You know, this like breadth of work and knowledge and subject matter that like if someone's interested in, they'll like go and see. Like I know recently you did like a 3-part series about how you make your silk screens and your heat press, and I was like, what, you just order these? I was amazed, because I was like, because I've always wondered, I was like, well, he does these puff like Vision and like all the other ones, but then there's also the very complex like skull and other ones. I'm like,
classes of transfers.
How did you do that? And he's like, oh, you just go to this one place called TK. I was like, whoa. I was like, that's crazy, because then it makes it so people, you know, like how you were saying, like I can get this done by myself if you have, you know, the equipment and then the technical know-how to like apply yourself. And that's like great, because, you know, they just fall into this like wormhole of education.
Empowering.
That's real value. You're giving people value. Yeah, the game.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do, is like I want to make sure that if someone watches my video, they take away something. Like, you know, Kevin, who wants to learn but doesn't know where to start. Then it's like, here's a sheet that you just press, and you're like, what? That was a fucking press. You know?
Yeah. Because what is it?
Because you have that shirt, actually.
I do have this one. Yep. But I always wondered, I was like, because in my mind, I was like, you don't have a silk screen machine.
So how I'm like, done.
Then are you ordering like these Vision shirts from like a different place? But then you're like, I don't like to wait on them. So I was like, I didn't know how it was done. So it was like a magic trick. And then he's like, well, you see now, for $9.95, you get the Svengali magic set. Like, oh, you order P.O. box, here's my money, right? But like, yeah, like adding value, just like, it was interesting to me, because I was like, I didn't even know that existed. And then, you know, like I make like the hoppy coats and stuff like that. So it's like, oh, I can just get one of those. But hey, Ken, I got this piece of fabric. Can you
make sure you use my link in bio? I need a little kickback. Affiliate links. Nice. I mean, actually though, but
what's been something, maybe a surprise lesson that you learned on this journey, or something that you didn't expect that kind of surprised you as you continue to develop?
Yeah, I mean, I think the social media stuff is probably the biggest eye opener right now. Because, you know, I was at like, there's this video that I think I made like 2 months ago about how I went from 700 to 4,000, and now I'm at like 12.7 or some shit. And I'm just like, how did this happen? You know? But like, okay, to be 100% honest, like it was cool when I was climbing to like that 10K mark or like 8K or whatever. But after like a certain point, I was just like, I don't really care as much anymore. And I think it's like, we all think, or at least I used to think, like, oh, if I get to this number, you know, it's gonna start popping off. But like, it really doesn't. It just adds more work, because no, I mean, for real, because it's like, now I feel like I can't really stop posting, because I'm in this, like, you know, I'm in the machine's got
content dungeon.
Yeah, the dungeon's like, you gotta pump it out, because what happens once I stop, you know? Because I see all these pages from like, I don't know, because like, you know, the Instagram model era, and then there was like the influencer era, and now it's kind of like the affiliate era, I think. You know, like the 6-second videos where it says like
user-generated content.
Exactly, yeah. Or like, oh, type this and I'll give you a free PDF kind of shit. Because there's like bots that do that. Yeah, so when you see a channel that does that, it's because when you drop a keyword, it triggers this bot, which is like, I think it's authorized by Meta, so it doesn't like fuck up your account. Yeah, but it basically automatically sends a DM to that person saying like, hey, thanks for your interest. Here's that link that you wanted. You just can automate that. And I thought about doing that, but I was like, it kind of loses the human element of like, because like I'm not a company. I'm a person that runs a business, and I still want it to feel like I'm a person. You know, so even though that'll make my life 1,000 times easier, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I want to struggle and let people know I'm struggling. So people are like, this guy cares, you know? You know,
I feel like you people would like believe in you more.
Exactly.
Knowing that, and because it is just so easy to like have these programs and things do all the hard work for us. But it is interesting to feel like, I feel like the way that like the direction that we're all like going with like social media and stuff, or just like being on the internet, it's like it's kind of weird. We're getting more and more efficient, but we're like losing more and more touch. So I feel like the handcrafted goods or anything like that takes a little, you know, more time, is like more appreciated to a degree. It has a stronger like following of like, you know, genuine.
It's organic versus GMO.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It always goes back to that.
There'll always be a market for organic.
You go too far to like the mass produce. You're like, oh, I want to bring it back. I want to know the name of the guy who made my belt.
Yeah.
Like, you know, what was the name of this cow that I'm eating? Like, please.
Oh yeah.
I need to know. It's like, you know, just. But I think that's like our hunger for like knowledge and kind of relationships, because I think in this like data-driven social media world, we're so connected, but we're also very distant.
Yeah.
You know,
it's weird.
like, oh, I'm just gonna blast all my followers like an invitation, and like 3 people show up.
Yeah.
You know, I was at a thing with Anna Akana, and she was saying how like this one person had like 100,000 Instagram followers, couldn't sell out a venue.
Yeah. I've
You
heard
know,
that happen a lot.
and it's just because they're just out of touch. You know, they want someone to be like, hey, like, are you going to this, and all those other things, that nice human touch, because we're kind of out of touch.
It's interesting, yeah. How do you feel like with the chasing the content thing? Because like I've been in that loop. Even I'd say when we were pushing pod episodes out every week, and I was trying to come up with like 8 clips, and then editing the episodes, like 2-hour episodes, and just through the pandemic, it's like, and then that's just one business. Well, then we were trying to do like, you know, food shout. It was awesome. Like in a way, it was awesome because you're just like, man, if I had a team, if we had the money to hire a team to do this for us, it could totally be manageable. But anyways, how do you feel about just, you know, when you're in it and you feel like that need to kind of always produce something? Like, is that overwhelming? Do you take breaks for yourself? Like, how do you deal with it?
Yeah, I mean, it is overwhelming, but I'm a very like schedule driven person. So if I know I have to do it, like I'm gonna carve out time to do it. I've been getting better at identifying like what parts of the day I'm better at certain tasks. Like for example, like all my email web stuff is all daytime work. I usually just create at nighttime, like designing, because my brain just like likes to work when it's dark outside. Feel that energy.
Yeah.
But similar to the videos, like I'll start thinking about the videos probably around like noon or something like that. And if I have enough clips that I can kind of cycle through, I would just start thinking about, okay, what should I talk about today? And like I have a Notion page that just has a bunch of like ideas that I write out whenever I think of something. And yeah, I just kind of go through it. And if not, I just browse IG until I see someone else that posts something similar. I'm like, I'm just gonna rip this shit. Like the topics, you know, or the structure, and just throw my own topics in it.
Yes.
Because like I don't want to say I don't use templates, because you can also do that too. When someone enables templates, you can kind of like, I don't know how it works like on the technical side, but I think it just clips at the same timing or something.
It's just
like that.
it'll take the markers of like how long each clip
Where
clip
Flitch is, yeah.
and then it'll be like, oh, like just put in a video here, put in a video here, and trim it down to like that like 3 seconds or those like partial decimal seconds.
Is this through like an app?
This is their Instagram.
Yeah, some of the posts at the bottom left, it says use template or something.
I never knew that.
So like, if you pick a very popular song, you could just throw in your clips to like it's on beat, you know, like the quick transitions and stuff. So it makes it super easy to just take that same song and have those same transitions for your content.
Gotcha.
Right, without having to like, because like for instance, the last 2 like reels I've made, I've been like using the little slider and like, you know, all this stuff, and then after it's like, oh, want to use Kevin's template? I'm like, all right, make.
Can you make it private, or is it?
I think
You can turn it off.
Yeah,
actually.
you can, but it's like, oh, it's just like you have to be you have to be the first astronaut in space, you know, the first monkey. That's just to make it good for everyone else, and then after, but then, you know, the really popular songs you could just utilize quickly because it has the algorithm working for you, and then you just drag and drop, you just plug and play. You know,
Interesting. So
crazy.
are you messing with this AI stuff for your business?
I was experimenting a lot in the beginning. I mean, ChatGPT, obviously. I don't like the art stuff. I don't know. It just makes me feel weird, to be honest. Yeah, Midjourney. Like, it's very interesting, and I think it's cool, but I don't feel comfortable using it because I still think like, because I don't draw, right? I'm not an illustrator. I'm like graphic designer. So I use like a lot of images that are royalty free, or a lot of 3D models. I like 3D models because you can change the angles and the lighting. So if I want sharpness or like contrast, I can just move the sun and stuff. The artificial sun in Blender, you know? So it's actually one of my secrets is like the Blender shit. because when you print it, it's 2D anyway, right?
Yeah.
So you can easily crop on corners and just cut it out. So, sorry, I totally forgot what you asked me. My brain just like shot in space.
I was asking if you're using AI or any type of those tools.
Yeah, so I was using ChatGPT to generate like captions and stuff, but honestly, like I think it's because I don't pay for the 4. Like it all starts sounding the same after a while, and it's like
damn robots.
Yeah, the robots, man. And like I swear, I go to these people on LinkedIn, they're like AI, prompt experts, and I'm like, okay, and I read it, I'm like, okay, write this in the tone of a creative director for this company, but I'm like, it always comes out the fucking same. So is it because I don't pay for the 4? It's the difference. So I stopped using it because it's like the tone. It's like it throws the emojis and it's like, hey, enthusiast crafter. It's like I'm like I don't fucking talk like that. It takes more time for me to fix it. It's like I don't. And
hey, fellow kids.
Yeah, no, that's literally what it sounds like. And I'm like I don't want to edit this, so I literally just write everything from scratch now. Because I already kind of know my format in my head, and I've explored the slideshow one. I didn't like it. I just think as someone who has made so many things and like likes the customizability of having the freeform, I don't like the AI that kind of puts you in a box. Versus like someone who doesn't know how to make something, it gives you this great template to start from, which I think is good for them. But I'm worried about the repercussions of like where this is going, because like what if they wanted to actually make something in Photoshop? Like they're not going to really have that skill set, because you can't just pick that up from AI generated stuff, So
Facts.
Interesting times.
Facts. But yeah, I mean, have you guys messed with AI stuff?
No.
Savannah was learning Mid-Journey.
I was just playing around with it. Yeah, just putting in prompts, seeing like what it would create. And that was pretty much like the extent of it. I think like in Photoshop, there's like all these new AI, the generative fill.
Actually, you're right. Yeah, let me take that back. I use that.
That's pretty helpful. That's probably more helpful than like Midjourney ever was on it, especially like,
Generative fill, what's that?
Basically, yeah. It's like, it can, say you have an image and, there's like just so much you could do. How to even explain it? It's like a magic. You select an area of an image and it will generate what a prompt that you give it. Or
it'll remove, or are you talking about generative fill where it'll like remove a person? Like if you're doing like wedding photos, it's like, oh, we're by the we're by the Eiffel Tower, it's like remove all the crowd.
Yeah.
And then it's just those two and then the Eiffel Tower. It looks perfect.
Exactly.
On Instagram?
On Photoshop.
Oh, on Photoshop.
Yeah. So they'll do that too.
Beta.
Yeah.
You can put hair on someone that doesn't have hair, jewelry. You can give them abs, like just selecting the area and it just kind of creates it. It's pretty good.
Adobe, give me abs. Like, right? Like,
in real life, not in the photo.
Tattoos, you could do that.
Like I've made a friend who works at Adobe, and there's this new program called Firefly.
Oh yeah.
So cool. That's
you could change like the weather in the photo.
That's
like
Interesting.
Just with the prompts.
Yeah.
It's like the AI prompts. So it's like, oh, like I want it to be a little cloudy. Adjust this. Do all these things, and I'm like interesting.
Yeah. So that's gonna get pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's probably mostly what I use if I mess around with it. Yeah, so like you mentioned earlier, like your algorithms and like, just all the content out there. How do you navigate filtering the content that you like consume, and like do you, organize it in any way? Or are you like,
I should organize it.
Dude, I've been doing that. It's been such a game changer. So like,
No, I don't organize anything. Mine is literally just files on my phone, and I'm always like, I need to put this in a folder and then try to like, timestamp it, but it's just a mess. I think it's because I try to just work off of something new every single time, which is not necessarily the best method. Like they always say recycle and reuse what you already have, because that way it's kind of like less work. Because like not every single person is going to see what you post, right?
Yeah.
So I could literally make the exact same like video concept with just different clips.
Yeah.
Most likely no one will be like, this was what you posted yesterday, No one's going to say that.
Yeah.
It's more like a personal thing. It's like I don't want it to feel like it's the same topic. But I do kind of like just wing it every single day, like off of clips that I've saved on my phone. So yeah, it's all over the place. I need to organize that.
Dude, it's been helpful for me. Like I'm not on TikTok as much. I don't know if they have like a similar feature as Instagram, but on Instagram, you know, you can like save a post, right? Well, I guess it's like Pinterest, you can put it in boards. So for Instagram, what I do is like, if I like a creative ad, I'll have like a folder and it's like creative inspo. And I just like, as soon as I see it, I'm filtering in there. If I see like, I really want to make like a cool vest. So if I see any type of vest that has any bit of something that I like of it, I'll throw it in my vest folder. Shoes, pants, like I have so many now and I'm just filtering all the things. Anytime I see something like I like that, I'm going to just like save it. And when it comes time to like use it or think, oh, why did I like this? I'm like, I just go right to this and I'm like, boom, boom, boom. I have all this organized, and like the more of a habit that I've gotten, the more that I built out of it, the easier it is to just, I'm like, I have so many like folders now, and it's like I highly recommend that for anybody who's like trying to you know, create something or interested in something. It could even be, I have like a folder, it's like life hacks or like shopping now, because there's like so many dumb things that like are cool, but I don't know if I would buy it, but I
it's there just in case.
It's there just in case. I'm like
that late night on Amazon.
Exactly.
What skill set have you developed that you think has been the most helpful for your journey? Like for her, she's talking about like organizing has been helpful for her most recently. Is there like a particular like skill set, like time management or something like that, that's like been the most pivotal, I guess you could say?
Honestly, I think it's more business related, because I've always been really good at time management because I was engineering. So it's like I had to, you know, ride or die every single day, sleep on campus and shit. It was nuts. Kevin knows. But yeah, I think just being more open to like being the sales guy, I think. Actually, Kevin has helped me a lot with this because, you know, he is very extroverted. This guy can talk to anyone, anywhere, and I'm always just standing there like, damn, this guy, he knows something that I don't, and I really respect him for that. And I think like that was a part of me that was kind of lacking, is because I like to be the quiet artist that just creates and, you know, hopes that people will be like, oh, that's cool, you know, let me talk to you. But in reality, it's like there's plenty of people like that. So you have to be seen, you have to be heard, and putting yourself out there, whether it's like, you know, doing a podcast with your friends or like a company or whatever, it's like, it's good to say yes to these opportunities that you're not comfortable with, because that's when you really start growing, you know? If you're just doing what you're good at, it's like, yeah, it's comfortable, but you're not really pushing yourself. And like, for example, we went to the licensing expo in Vegas, and we were just chopping it up with like Namco, Crunchyroll, Pokemon, Nintendo. Like, we know we had zero chance of getting anything, but we were like, yeah, what can we do? You know, we're just like trying to talk the talk. Why not, you know?
Well, let me, or what is it? Do you want to tell the story of the Pokemon?
No, you can tell the story.
No, you tell it, because it's just me bragging about myself. If that's.
What was it? The one where you got the secret email?
Yeah, more like basically it's Pokemon, right? So you have to set up appointments, and like for things like Nintendo and Pokemon and Crunchyroll, they're like, oh, we're all booked up. Yeah, we don't have anything, right? And then I was like, I was just thinking out loud to him. I was like, well, that sucks. You know, it's just like, do you want a snack or something? And I'm like, yeah, what kind of snacks you got there? You got rare candies back there? You got TMs, HMs? I was running my mouth. And then she comes back with like Reese's peanut butter cups and goes, here you go. I'm like, oh, so you're trying to kill me now? She's like, what do you mean? Like I'm like, oh, I'm allergic to peanuts. She's like, what about this? It has cashews in it. I'm like, that's a nut too. I don't know how to tell you these are from the same family. You know, they're like the same Pokemon that'll kill me. Yeah. And then she's like, okay, let me get you something else. So she brings me back something chocolate and gives him some stuff, and then we're just like, can we get like a business card? And then she's like, oh, I have something for you. She pulls out this like laundry list of emails of just like the whole resource directory of who's done like Pokemon like collaboration stuff, and just gives it to us. And it's just like, it's like, oh yeah, you guys follow up on those and just tell them that we do.
Wow.
It was better than like a meeting, because we had a couple meetings and they were kind of just like really routine, but just being very open and just like, you know, willing to talk with people, like once again, that human element really like benefited us, you know. And then another thing was that because we're both Japanese, we would go to like the Japanese like IPs. And then as soon as Ken would start speaking Japanese, they would just immediately like, behind.
Yeah, the secret sheet comes out, you know.
Introduce you to Mr. Satoshi. You know, they were so stoked up. And then like it just gravitated, but it was like, once again, like as Ken says, we didn't know anybody there. We were just putting ourselves out and seeing what hit, you know. And some of them were like really bad interactions. Like that one girl, she's literally like trying to scan my badge while talking to another person.
Yeah, she didn't give a shit.
And I looked at him just like, this is like so corporate. It's a weird vibe. But yeah, like how Ken says, is like pushing yourself and putting yourself out there, because that's ultimately growing.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like the more self-aware you are, the more you know like what your strengths are and like what are things you can like improve on, and then it's up to you to decide like how you want to, like, do you want to improve on it, or are you just gonna like be scared and sit in that, you know, that comfort?
Yeah. Have you been reading any like business books or utilizing any resources like that, or
I honestly don't read anything.
Oh, really?
No, I just do shit. I don't know.
I just do.
Yeah, I just go on Reddit. I talk to Kevin, and I go to expos, and that's pretty much it.
Well, it's working. That's awesome.
I did buy a licensing book though. Like the week before we went to the, I was like trying to speed read it, but I was like, this is so dry, and like we'll figure it out.
Yeah, because like I sent him the link. I was like, hey, do you want to go to this? He's like, actually, I was thinking about it. He's like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I just want to talk to the people. Right, because it's like expo level, like marketing and just like talking.
Is that where like Palace gets the Dragon Ball Z? Like, is that type?
That's kind of the mecca of like where the corporations and businesses like shake hands and they're like, all right, let's do the collabs. You know, they're mostly just licensing deals. I think they're not actually collaborations.
Yeah.
But to the naked eye, it seems like a collab.
Yeah.
Which is like a whole different subject. But
That's been happening so much more the past, like, I don't know, couple of years even, just like the licensing thing.
Dragon Ball Z, everybody's got a
like
DVD
the hundreds,
collection.
everyone has like some type of licensing.
it's because people are running out of ideas. It's like how movies are all the same sequel or like remakes. People just can't think of shit anymore because I feel like there's so much risk now to make something brand new.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's my hunch on
What's the money?
They just want the monies.
There's also like a lot of Japanese IPs are really untapped. That's why like Primitive Skateboard does a lot of things. And then when we were sitting down with like Konami, he was just talking about percentages and royalties and how much units you'd have to move. And if you're not like, you know, a big vendor or have a big following, it's like you can't even get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, see you next year kind of thing.
Try again.
Yeah. Goku.
I can do this.
Or just rip that shit. Fuck it.
Yeah, right?
Get the cease and desist and then move on.
And then you print the C and D on a shirt. You're like, official collab.
I'm not endorsing this, but that's what everyone does. So, you know.
Yeah, I send them so much like rip stuff. I'm like, I wonder if they got the license. Like, no, you know, like.
Well, there's like a Mew on a Nike symbol, and it's like, what the fuck is this?
Targeted ads.
Yeah, they're trying to like give that to me.
Yeah.
I'm not buying this. But what are you excited about as far as your life and also these business projects you're building?
I'm just excited that like things are happening, to be honest. Just still in slight shock that it's all kind of went to the next level, I guess, of, you know, this process of becoming a business and designer and whatever. Like, I'm still trying to define what it really is, but I think it's just been cool to have like ideas manifest itself a lot faster versus just thinking about it happening in years or whatever. Now it happens in like a couple weeks or something like that. So yeah, I just think like I'm just gonna keep on doing what I'm doing. Obviously, trying to focus on the business side of like getting these bigger wholesale clients to kind of pad out my capital so I can do whatever I want on top of it. But I do want to I do want to eventually kind of tie it back to like some sort of charity or like some kind of foundation that I can create. An idea I had when I first started the Ikendoit.studio was like, because it's like I can do it, right? That's more about me. But I wanted to start like a foundation called like You Can Do It, where it's like I want to fund someone's project if they're like, you know, a kid from South Central, they don't have money to start a clothing brand. I like hooked them up with a heat press or something, you know, something like that. Like I kind of want to get to that, but I do think like I want my business to be a little bit more established before I start handing out these projects, because I also want to do it well, and I want to scale that too in a way where, you know, it can help me, but it also like has a greater good effect to the people that are creatives that can't afford stuff. So
I totally feel you on that. I've been like thinking about that more, even like with Dipped, because, you know, I had an idea of like us having like a creative fund and like, you know, being able to like maybe every like $500, like, I don't know, we have to get the details, but like 1% of each cell is like, because, you know, people are like 1% of this cell goes to the planet. I want to be able to give it back to people like us too, who are like to the people. Yeah. And how do we directly like, you know, just help people out? Like even with like equipment and stuff, like, like what you said, I've been thinking about that a lot too. I'm just like, how do you even approach this? And like, you know, there's so many ways to do it, but I like to hear that, you know, you're doing the same or thinking the same, because I do think it matters. And it's cool.
I think we're just at that age now because, you know, I mean, I don't know how old you guys are, but, you know, I'm 33. So it's like we're on the older side of the young 20 vibes, you know, no longer 20s. You know, so it's kind of like I think we're starting to look at the youth as more of like not just like these annoying children, but, you know, we care more about how they're going to be brought up in this world because everything's fucked, everything's expensive. And it's like, you know, because like, I don't know, I don't think I'm going to have children because like, I don't think my partner wants children, which is fine. So it's like, you know, you know what I mean? So it's like, that doesn't mean that I can't help younger people who wanted to learn how to do whatever the hell I'm doing now, you know, because I was in Hawaii, and Hawaii back then was even more like on an island. Right now we're all connected and things are closer. It doesn't feel as like behind the times, but back then, like, I felt like Hawaii was always like 5 years behind or something, you know, so message traveled there a lot slower. But now it's like, you know, people from these kind of regions that have less resources, less access, like, I want to help them out by being like, yo, what if I got you Photoshop? You know, here's like, I'll mentor you for 2 months or something, you know, to just get you started. But it's up to you from that point on how to go. So
I think currently, though, is like, I mean, I know you want to be much more established before you can set up a fund and things, but I think you're already doing that in a way by providing information and kind of knowledge. That's the easiest way to share kind of like things. It's like how Jay-Z says is like, I'm trying to give you $1 million of advice for $9.99, right? It's like you're already kind of giving that. I think it just needs to be targeted to the individuals that, you know, are in need of like kind of like knowing and wanting to learn that. But I think that's like a great start, you know, obviously like tangible heat presses and materials and stuff like that, or even just like programs. You know, they all start with ideas, and I think that's the easiest way to like exchange because data and information so readily available. But it's great that you guys are already thinking steps above. You know,
I just think of my past self and I'm like, man, I wish like it's like I wish I had like a mentor. We've had to like figure this shit out by ourselves, and you know, we've kind of had some help a little bit along the way, like, but never really are like real mentors. We figured out a lot of this by ourselves, and that's what I think of when I want to like give back. I'm just like, like, how do I help that younger me, you know, whoever's out there. But yeah, it's dope. Cool.
Very tight. What do you like to do outside of business building and entrepreneur and
grind, outside of the grind?
Is there anything else? No, I like cycling. I'm a pretty avid cyclist. Not as much anymore. I used to bike like 100 miles a week.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but honestly, it's because like during pandemic, post-pandemic, like there's a lot less cars on the road. And like honestly, recently people have been pretty like aggressive on the street. I don't know what's been going on. It's been sketch. Like so. But
human interaction. That mean everyone.
And
the heat. But yeah, cycling. Like I love cycling because not only is like good exercise, like the mental break that I get from cycling, because you can't look at your phone, right? Like when you lift weights, a lot of people like, you know, they take breaks, they're on their Instagram and stuff. And like when I'm biking, like I don't give a shit about my phone. I mean, I check it sometimes. If I get a Shopify notification, I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Made a sale biking.
But it makes the noise.
You know, but besides that, like, I don't really look at it besides, like, you know, my stats and all this when I'm biking. And it's like 1 hour is about the sweet spot when my brain can disconnect from work. So I usually bike for like hour and a half or 2 hours.
Nice.
And it usually takes me from Marina to like either Mulholland Drive or like Mandeville Canyon. It's kind of like, you know, all the hills basically have really good climbs. And climbing like really pushes your heart rate. And like it's kind of like this grind where you can't think of anything else. And I think that's good for me because I'm always thinking about work. I'm sure it's similar for you guys as well. I hope I'm talking loud enough. I feel like my voice is getting softer and softer.
You're good, yeah.
But yeah, I just think like the more I do cycling, even though it is tiring, it is a time commitment, like it helps me to kind of relieve that pressure to get back into the grind.
Feeds you.
Yeah, it's a good cycle, I think. Cycling is a good cycle.
Yeah.
So,
Do you have any, for like design, do you have any inspo, any people or brands that kind of had an impact on your flavor preference, I guess you could say?
None.
I love Palace. Palace is like, I think graphically one of my favorites. Supreme, if you go down their catalogs from the past, like they have really dope stuff. Kith is like, I think more cut based than graphic based, but you can tell that their stuff's nice too. But kind of like those main three, I think are my main. But honestly, I just kind of like go on Pinterest or Instagram. If something looks like something that I like, it kind of triggers something in my brain to just open Photoshop and
Get to it.
hacking away. Yeah, like I actually don't make as many mood boards as I used to either, because I think I don't have time to really sit down and think.
Yeah.
So it's like if something strikes, I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna drop everything and just design.
Yeah.
Which has been, I don't know, it's been a big shift, because that's used to not be how I design. Before I would be like very organized. I'll have a mood board, typography section, all this shit. But now I'm just like, fuck it. All right, fuck it. I know what I want to make already, and I just do it. It's weird. But
I think it's like you just getting more in tune with yourself and your interests.
I think so. It's like music. Like at first, I had to use a lot of references, but after a while, it's like if I have like one chord progression, I can make a whole song from it, kind of thing. So yeah, I think the last time we spoke, I think I said like music was very close to my heart, and it was hard to like monetize it, kind of thing, which is still true. But with design too, like I think I'm kind of starting to feel a little bit more personal about stuff. It's not as like I'm just gonna sell this. So there is definitely a little bit of a disconnect, I think, within myself, trying to allocate like my emotions to the graphics and like the business side of the graphics. Because I know Key saw this the other day, but I made like a pack of my statue like fragmented series. It's something that I'm still kind of toying with the idea. I don't know if I'm gonna sell it, but I make graphics that might not be used on a shirt, but if I can sell it to someone for like, I don't know, $300 to $500, like which is like pretty good deal, because I charge way more than that for graphics. But it's like it gives someone an opportunity to use one of my designs. Obviously they can't say it's Vision or Ken or whatever, but they can do whatever the fuck they want with it.
Yeah.
It's like licensing, but now I'm giving them the license.
It's smart, because then you just create it once, and then people will keep coming across it for like years, and then money will just drip in. Like I know there's some they make tech packs for shirts for the different brands, like American Apparel, blah blah blah, so you could do your mock-ups or whatever on it, and then they just have a website where you could buy those. That way you don't have to have like a crazy studio set up to take it at home. You could just get these really well rendered whatever shirts for those types of blanks, and they're just making money. They're just up there, it's just like 75, but you can put it at whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's just like other people are going to buy it. And then I just think the tech pack game, that type of product is good.
Smart,
Yeah, digital products are great because there's no overhead, right? And it doesn't take up square footage in your apartment. That's the best part. So that's something that I think I'm gonna explore a little bit more as a digital product, because like when I make logos for people, I have at least like 50 that gets trashed, but they're not bad. So I can just sell that.
Bundle it.
So
Nice.
other things.
Flip it.
One last question, and then we can wrap, unless you guys have any other things. I was curious, like, how is it your experience being like so front facing on your business? Like, how is your comfort with like, like talking directly to your audience? Like how was that, like getting into that, and how do you feel now, like being so kind of vulnerable in your creative like process? And
well, this is like my 4th time I think doing this, because the first one was like when I was trying to do music production tutorials. So I'll do it on Twitch. I had like this other gig with this streaming channel called Wave. I was like, I don't know if I was an ambassador or whatever, but I was getting paid to like use it basically. So, you know, obviously if you get paid, you're like, I'll use this every fucking day.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, I already had the experience of like speaking to the camera and all this. So I think a lot of that is just part of the process of me getting here, that now when I do it, I don't mind doing it. But if you notice, a lot of my videos, I don't really talk in them. It's a lot of captions because I consume my content without audio usually, because I usually have music playing, so I don't even listen to what's happening, so I always read the screen. So that's why like I think captions are really important on your videos, because if I don't see captions, I usually skip your video. So
yeah, if I'm at work, same thing. I can't like just put on the volume and just scroll on TikTok or Instagram or anything. It's like caption and off, on and off.
Yeah, and just to kind of cap that idea, but if you are, you know, worried about putting yourself in front of the camera, because like I don't like the way I look when I'm like holding a microphone talking, you know. So the way to work around it is like, one, just do the voiceovers, or two, I've been doing this like split screen thing where I have like the end product on one side of the screen and then me talking on the top. And then I'll like swap the two. So it's kind of like this little transition, and it all happens in like 2 seconds. So like visually it's captivating, and two, like you're not forced to watch yourself being talking to the camera kind of thing. So
Nice pro tips.
What's did you have any like final questions you want to run? What advice or words of encouragement would you give to the next kind of either entrepreneur or person trying to pursue whatever it may be?
the next gen.
Yeah, the next gen.
Yeah, I say this a lot, but you got to do stuff because you love to do it, not because you want to make money. Like the money and finances are obviously very important, but if your sole reason is to like make a business to make money, like in this creative field, it's not going to work. Like if your goal is to sell, you know, drop ship stuff, like sure, maybe in that case, it doesn't matter. But if you're trying to form a business around yourself and your creativity, you have to like really love what you do, because there's going to be a lot of downs before there's any ups.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to be able to withstand that emotional turmoil of like, I'm not good enough, this sucks, you know, and then like some days are good, some days are terrible. And if you don't like it, you're going to give up.
Yep.
But if you really care, like you're going to keep on doing it no matter what, you know, like I think a lot of people think they have to make their passion a job, but there's no problem with like having it full time and doing your thing on the side, and, you know, because that way is honestly a lot more manageable, because you don't have that financial pressure. You know, you're funding the rent through a job, or even like your supplies through your job. Versus if you don't sell X amount, now you're stuck with Y inventory, and you also have to pay for more things to, you know, keep the business going.
You know.
Yeah, so I think like there's nothing wrong with having a job. Like it's just that your job has to be something that you can manage without it exhausting you. And two, it'll be good if it's at least in a similar field, so that you're kind of having parallel experiences that are growing together, versus like if it's something totally random, like if you want it that way because it's so different that it gives you a little bit of a break between the two activities, that's awesome. But I think if it's in conjunction with what you're already doing, then it can only help you in the future. So just do it because you love it.
Wonderful. Very dope. Well, it's been an incredible time talking with you, Kenji.
It's been an incredible time talking to you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming back on and joining us for another episode of the Dip Podcast. And thank you all for watching. We'll catch you crazy kids next time.
Are you in there?